When we set up CloudBridge, our goal was to pretty much be everything within AWS, so deliver all services across the whole platform. Then we realized that actually there's hundreds and hundreds of services within AWS, so we had to start specializing in certain key areas. So our focus has always been around financial operations, so FinOps for customers, to making sure that they're spending where they should be spending. Managed services, when customers don't have those skills that really they needed to develop and support those platforms, then we can offer that as well. And then our professional services practice, where we can help customers modernize their workloads within AWS or modernize them before they move to AWS, and also their migration into AWS, which has become probably the largest part of our practice, migrating organizations from on-premise to AWS in the best possible way, using all the programs that are available.
Simon, thank you so much for having me. Your office here in Marlow is lovely. And really what inspired me about your story is really how you work across the different AWS business models. And so, being able to work across those business models, one of the things I wanted to hear from you is, what are the trends that you're seeing across customers and how has it really shifted?
So the trends we're seeing currently, it's really shifted since the VMware acquisition by Broadcom, and we're starting to see organizations really look at cloud as an alternative, particularly with some of the price rises we're seeing across our customers. So we've very much lent into the migration aspect into AWS and leveraging the programs like the Migration Acceleration Program to really support customers' journey there. We've actually built out a new service, kind of a hybrid map service working with AWS directly called VMware Shift to migrate customers faster. So we've managed to kind of condense down some of the modules within the migration to still ensure that the customer moves there in a really nice, safe, concise way with all the testing, but faster.
Yeah.
And so that's one major trend. Another area we've seen is organizations not just wanting to pick up and drop. Organizations want to modernize. They want to take advantage of some of the newer technologies within AWS. Want to be serverless architecture, want to be at scale, agile. They want to be more competitive with their actual peers within their own markets.
Are you seeing a difference in customers doing the modernization first then, instead of just focusing on the lift and shift and the migration piece, really then that modernization to help drive the business transformation?
So some workloads, 100%, we're seeing customers prefer to modernize because their words is, we don't want to migrate rubbish. They know it's rubbish. They built it years ago, monolithic applications. They want to have the same application, but in a modernized state. So what we're seeing is some elements of the migration program being modernized as part of that project, whereas other elements that are easy to lift and shift for the speed, lift and shift. So I would say it's more of a hybrid than it used to be.
And for me specifically, I think one of the things that customers should focus on is database modernization, because that is going to be the way that they can leverage generative AI. So how does CloudBridge bridge the gap between modernization and generative AI?
Database is probably the most common conversation we're having around modernization. And I think a lot of that is driven by cost, particularly with SQL Enterprise license costs, but also to utilize some of the new tooling within AWS, particularly around the Gen I data access and how they can effectively get more from that data, make it more business value to them. And obviously by modernizing and using these new technologies, it's not just the benefit of saving money on the licensing and being more scalable, having a managed service potentially wrap around it, but also all the benefits of getting more data out of that traditional big unstructured data. They're actually using that data to feed their business, to grow their business and get more information out of it.
What you said earlier, it actually rings true, to be able to move the data over, whether it's unstructured or structured data, and then be able to feed that into like Amazon Bedrock, working with the foundational models, as well as an Amazon Q, to then be able to really kind of innovate for themselves depending on what different use cases that they have. So what are you seeing as well in terms of being able to help drive that more efficiently?
What we see is customers want to run straight to, I want to use Bedrock, I want to use all the foundational models, but not actually realize that the key part is the data that sits within the database. So the modernization conversation around databases is front and center of everything we talk about, because it essentially opens the gates to utilize some of these really, really cool models that can drive more value out of those data sources that traditionally have just been kind of bundled up in the back room. So when we're talking to customers about modernization, we do talk about cost, but we also talk about the business benefit of the additional services that they can access by modernizing those databases.
I think what's interesting about generative AI, the discussion, is that there was like the first discussion, which is around, just doing proof of concepts. And then we've moved to the discussion around production. And then now I think, we're seeing a wave of, okay, we're in production, but now what? And so I'd love to hear from you, like, how do you drive customer success?
I think a lot of partners where we all got super excited about it, thought this is going to be big. We're going to make loads of money out of it, and then start doing workshops and getting customers to POCs, but then struggling really to get them beyond the POC stage because of the data issue, really. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and have built out our own platform around data structure management, using a whole bunch of tools within AWS to do that. But we can take data sources, structure them, and then enable us to have output that one of the large language models can interrogate and actually get valuable answers out of. And one of the problems in-house was with the project management team. They had to go to 4 or 5 different sources to book a resource for an architectural project to find out if they're available, do they have the skills, what project are they currently on. And with this tool that we've built, we can pull all this data from all these different sources, and then the project manager can just ask the question, I've got a project, it's on Anthropic, and the customer's got all this data, and I need someone to do this on these dates. And the tool will go out, find that information, and then give them all the architects that are available, when they're available, what skills they have, and their email address and contact number. Yeah. Saves them about 10, 15 minutes of their time. If you multiply that across kind of 50 project managers and 10 projects a day, it's just like this huge amount of time that it's saving. So we can go back to those customers what we've done these proof of concepts for and say, actually, we can structure your data for you. We can help you with that. And then they can just work on the benefit of the output. Like, where are they driving efficiencies with this intelligence that we're providing them with this tool set? And I think we'll see a change off the back of that. But we've definitely gone the journey, like I think a lot of partners have gone. But I think we're starting to get to a stage now where customers are seeing efficiencies as a benefit of these language models and tool sets that are within AWS. And we built that first bit, the boring bit, I would say, to enable them to get the good stuff out.
I love that. And I mean, throughout our conversation, it was, what I really love about it is that you're always focused on customer success. And so I really appreciate the time that I was able to spend with you today to learn more about CloudBridge, the best practices that you're doing for AWS customers, and be able to share this out with other partners. So really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate being here. Thanks very much.